welcome to the April 1st, 2013 Chino City Council meeting. Please rise and join me in the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have a seat. First thing under ceremonials, Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2014. We'd like to call up Michelle Cheng, City of Chino Clinical Specialist, along with Christy Lopick, Community and Events Coordinator, Children's Network, County of San Bernardino. Ladies, welcome. We have a proclamation I'd like to read. Whereas April 2014 has been designated as Child Abuse Prevention Month by county, state, and federal governments for the purpose of promoting community development in preventing child abuse. Whereas the City of Chino and community partners believe all children have the right to be free from harm and have their physical, emotional, and educational needs met. And whereas approximately 29,000 children in the county of San Bernardino were referred to the services for suspected child abuse and neglect in 2013. That's hard to believe. Whereas the City of Chino, Chino Valley Unified School District, and County of San Bernardino are dedicated to finding ways to protect all children and find resources for those in need. And whereas the City of Chino recognizes the blue ribbon as the international symbol for child abuse prevention in order to raise the community's awareness and support of this cause. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Shates, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim April 2014 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. I'd like to present this to you folks. And Michelle.
Thank you, Mayor Yates and members of the City Council for your continued support of the Community Services Department. In the Community Services Department, we have so many programs that are focused on the youth, whether it be before school care, after school care, all of our counseling programs in the schools, and we're always vigilant to look out for the needs of our children and to be aware when there is abuse occurring. And so we do call often because we just want to make sure that nothing is happening, and a lot of times it's just education for those parents as well. Tonight we have with us Christy Lufek from the County of San Bernardino. She is the Community Events Coordinator with the Children's Network to accept this proclamation.
Very good.
All right.
Visual aids there.
I know. Thank you very much. Again, thank you, City Council members and Mayor Yates. I did want to talk about that for the City of Chino for 2013, that there were 753 child abuse referrals made to the city. Now, this is kind of a good thing because it doesn't mean that they were substantiated. It doesn't mean that abuse is happening. It just means that the eyes and ears of the community are reporting it more, and so that allows the social workers, the professionals, to go out and investigate. So that's a good thing. It is. But your numbers are a lot lower than other cities, so that's a good thing. I did want to let you know that we do have, as of January 2014, we do have 4,482 children in foster care in San Bernardino County. So it's a lot. And again, the 29,000 overall, the referrals that were made for the county of San Bernardino. But I do also want to let you know about the campaign, and I've talked about this before when I've been here, that we do have our dial 211 to report child abuse, that anyone, you don't have to know the 1-800 number, you don't have to be, even if you're a mandated reporter, whoever, you can use the 211 to report child abuse anonymously. But this is our, I'm too small to make the call. We do have these little posters available that people can hang up. But when you dial 211, it will go to the 211 system. You can push the 6, and they'll put you right through to the child abuse hotline. So just so you know, there's an option without knowing the big, long number. So, and we do have blue ribbons to pass out to the city council members. So thank you. And thank you again for recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Well, we really appreciate all you folks do for our children that can't protect themselves. So, but like my children, when I go to spank them, don't tell them to dial 211,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. We appreciate all you do. Thank you. Next is Fair Housing Month for April 2014. We like to call it Cristela Nunez, Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board. Cristela? Hi, welcome. And we have a proclamation. Whereas the fair housing is a right emphasized by the U.S. Congress beginning with the Civil Rights Act in 1968 and the amendments of 1988. And whereas the Fair Housing Act and its amendments of 1988 prohibit discrimination in housing because of race, color, religion, sex, age, handicap, family status, national origin, or personal traits, beliefs, or characteristics that are unrelated to rentals of sales of property. And whereas 2014 marks the 45th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 68. And whereas the City of Chino has participated in the Federal Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program, has made a commitment to equal housing opportunities in our community that can and should be achieved. And whereas as part of the CDBG program, the City of Chino, through its partnership with the Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board, assesses fair housing needs in the community, conducts fair housing workshops, and promotes fair and equal access to rental sales, lending in housing. And whereas the City of Chino recognizes the Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board as the Fair Housing Program, which is a public-private partnership with Housing Industry Association in supporting fair housing laws. And whereas Inland Valley Fair Housing and Mediation Board, working in conjunction with the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development and the State of California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, provides an informational housing office for the citizens of the City of Chino in order to answer questions concerning the discrimination in housing. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Yates, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2014 as Fair Housing Month. We'd like to present this to you. You have a few words, I suppose.
Mayor Yates, council members, and committee members, on behalf of Inland Fair Housing and Mediation Board, I thank you for proclaiming April as Fair Housing Month. Fair housing is so important because of the many ways that housing plays a large role in defining a person's quality of life. Where you live affects your access to community amenities such as schools, transportation, employment, medical services, retail and professional services, recreational and entertainment opportunities, and much more. Housing discrimination is an illegal obstacle that denies individuals the opportunity to fully experience and enjoy the American dream of choosing and thriving in the community of their choice. Inland Fair Housing Mediation Board is proud to promote equal access and opportunity in housing by providing education on fair housing laws. This year, our staff is celebrating Fair Housing Month by wearing these blue Dare to Be Fair bracelets. Throughout the month of April, we have provided a bracelet for each council member, and we invite the City of Chino to celebrate us the progress that we have made since the passing of the Fair Housing Act 46 years ago. So, on behalf of Inland Fair Housing Mediation Board, we'd like you to Dare to Be Fair.
Yeah, very good.
So thank you so much for proclaiming April Fair Housing Month,
Well,
Mayor
pleasure
Yates.
to have you to keep us aware. I can't believe that's still happening. Is it still happening, right? Yes. It's hard to believe. Oh, they're beating kids up and discriminating against them, all that. So I guess it's. Thank you. Let's have a round of applause. Next is the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for April 2014. And the winner this month is, this is going to be hard for me, Hushang Kambiz Ghaffori. How'd I do? Oh, great. And he has a beautiful a home. As you can, well, we had it up there on television. We'd like to present you with this picture of your beautiful home. We had all kinds of hardware for you. And we have the Mayor's Home Beautification Award. You're residing here on the Grove Street in Chino. And we'd like to thank you for continued improvement and maintenance of your home, resulting in a substantial contribution to the overall appearance of our community. We'd like to present that to you. We have a couple of lapel pins like I'm wearing, the city. I'm not done with you. We have a pen and pencil sets. And the coup de grace is you get to have this too. And we'd love to have you put this in here in your yard. Declaring you the winner in April of in our city. And next year at the State of the City address, the council and I will pick a winner for the year of 2014 and invite that winner to the Mayor's State of the City address, and we'll buy you lunch and give you a little certificate and all of that good stuff. Yeah, so we'd like to present that to you. Probably have to get a truck or something, but we'll take that with you. Who does all the work on your house?
Me and my wife.
Oh, you do yourself? That's good.
Yeah, we've been in Chino for about 20 years. So
Oh, is that right?
we wouldn't go to any other city. We love it.
My man. Very good. Well, we really appreciate the way you take care of your home. This helps the city of Chino be better and better
Thank
when
you
we
very
see homes like that. Let's give them a big round of applause. You set this. Thank you.
Looks like we're clearing out our pencil sets.
Bear with me, I'm sorting out the requests to speak here. Next, under public communications, this time and the place for the general public to address the city council about subjects that do not appear on the agenda. The Brown Act and council policy prohibits us taking action on any item that is not agendized. I've got a request to call up Pastor Chris May of the Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills. He'd like to invite everyone who wishes to join in on the invocation to please stand. Pastor.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and pray. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you, Father, for this time, Father, that you've provided for this city to get together and do business. Father, I thank you for our mayor, our city council, Father, for our fire, for our police department, Father, for all those public servants that you've provided that serve this city so faithfully. Father, we pray for your wisdom, for your discernment for each and every one. Father, we pray for your blessings upon them and, Father, on this city. And, Father, we just ask, your God, that you would rule and reign over this time. Father, that the decisions that were made would be right by you. And this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Have a seat, folks. I have a few written requests to speak. First, Bob Bales. Bob?
Mr. Mayor, I'm here to thank you.
Identify yourself, please. You give us your name.
Oh, my name is Bob Bales.
Yeah, for the record, you need to report.
And I'm here to thank you and the entire council for the support you provided for the recent car show. I also want to thank the city staff because they helped us in a variety of ways also. Because of your effort, or your support and our efforts, hard work, it was by far the most successful yet. We had 607 paid participants. In past years, the numbers have been from 420 to 450. So it was a booming success. We raised quite a bit of money, and in fact, that was the 12th year, and we raised a total of $224 with those car shows that we put on here in Chino.
$224.
$224,000 total.
Oh, you said 224. I said, what are you guys skimming down there or what? Yeah. I'm
Anyway.
gonna join the Kiwanis.
That's a big boost for the Kiwanis budget,
Sure.
and I think all of you know how energetic the Chino Kiwanis Club is. We participate in a number of activities. I picked up a copy of the budget a couple of days ago, and there were 56 items that we were funding in 2014, and every one of them was in the city of Chino.
Very good.
Now, there's another interesting caveat, I think. We did a computer count of all of the participants, and we found that 159 of the people that participated were from the city of Chino. And another 42 were from Chino Hills, and 60 were from Ontario. So a total of 261 of the participants were basically our people from our community.
Good.
And I really like that. It's a situation where someone has worked in their garage for 3 or 4 or 5 years or maybe longer, and it gives them an opportunity to bring their love out and display it on the lawn here in front of City Hall and let the friends and neighbors see what he or she's been doing for the last few years. Anyway, I want to thank you again for the
Well,
support.
thank you for the comments, Bob. We appreciate it. Eunice, you have something?
Yeah, I want to thank Kiwanis also for all their hard work. And of course, we were here, my husband and I, and Bob drove me around. Bob Bales drove me around in a little golf cart so I could see everything. And I talked to so many people that day, and the participants were just thrilled. They loved being able to walk across Central Avenue. They loved having the cars parked at the old fire station and the old community services building. It just was a great time. And it's kind of like an old class reunion or family reunion, because there were pockets of people who get together who hadn't seen each other for a couple of years. And the whole feeling of the event was fabulous. They loved being downtown. They loved being in the older section. And of course, the businesses nearby thrived. So I want to thank Kiwanis for all their hard work too, especially Bob and Walt Pocock, because both those gentlemen walked up and down Central Avenue getting signatures from the businesses saying that they were in agreement with closing Central Avenue. So thank you very much.
And just a quick comment I'd like to make also was that I think when you have it in March instead of August and it's 30 degrees cooler, you certainly get a lot more cars coming out. And I think that helped a lot. The weather was just perfect on that day for the show. That makes a big difference. So even though you take a little chance, a little bit of rain, it was worth the gamble this year changing the date. Yeah, you guys did a great job.
All right, thank you. Next written request I have is from Gary Fradella from the Southern California Civil War Association. Gary?
Mayor Yates, council members, city staff, I have some discouraging news. Citizens of Chinosburg.
Berg, yeah, well.
My scouts are telling us that there is a rebel force building down in a place I think you're aware of called Butterfield Ranch, somewhere by a place, Prado Park. Are you aware of it, sir?
They're all lawyers, aren't they?
You know how rebels are. I am here on the request of General Grant. I am Gary Fradella. I am Colonel of the 1st Division Union Forces Army of the Potomac. I would like to make sure that you're aware that my troops are marching down from the south, or actually from the southwest at this point, and we are going to be surrounding your areas and making sure that your people are going to be saved and making, let me just say this. If you have a cellar, you want to put all your valuables in it now. But personally, I am here on behalf of the Southern California Civil War Association. We're going to be doing our 11th annual Civil War reenactment this coming weekend. I have a brand new host, Scout Troop, Troop 201 from our fair city of Chino. I'd like to welcome them to the event. We have battles. I'm thinking that our scouts are telling us our battles are going to be at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Saturday and 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock on Sunday. If you need more information, you can go to our website at sccwa.com. And if you have any questions, Mayor, council members, I can field those for you real quickly. I know you have a full house tonight. I just wanted to make sure that you're safe.
Well, thank you, Colonel.
Oh, by the way, very nice.
Well, you like that?
Very nice.
I'm a general, you're only a colonel. I know. Don't tell him who won the war.
Got to get back to my troops. By the way, thank you for paving the roads out here.
Yeah, it's nice, huh?
Wonderful job. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Gary. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good job. Next, Ed Leia? Leia? What is it? Lai? Is that it? Oh,
That's it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Yates and council members. My name is Ed Lai. I live at 5531 Adams Street. The reason I'm here today is I see you have several Measure M developments to consider. And many in our neighborhood are interested in this as there's a future proposal for a Measure M in our neighborhood. It's the D.R. Horton Ron Brewer development. It's the area between Vernon and Benson, north of Philadelphia and south of Francis. My question is, why are we having so many Measure M developments? The housing element of the general plan was just updated last October, and the zoning ordinance was approved in December, just a few months ago. Developers and property owners had an opportunity then to address housing needs. The most significant investment that many of us make during our lifetime is our home. One of the most important aspects in deciding where we're going to buy is location, and that includes the surrounding area. The Brewer property Measure M proposes changing the density from 1 to the acre to 8 to the acre. This is a drastic zone change for our neighborhood. Changes like this shouldn't be made without input from the neighborhood. I don't think it's appropriate for citizens from the preserve or near Highway 71 to be making decisions, voting on development in a neighborhood they'll probably never go into, especially when these elections can be bankrolled by developers and wealthy property owners. Maybe Measure M has outlived its usefulness. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you tonight.
Thank you for your comments. You never applaud for me. Yeah, I'm a general, that's right. Very good. That's all the written requests I have to speak under public communications. Is there anybody that didn't fill one out that would like to address the council on an issue not on the agenda? Okay, I think we have some.
Over there,
What?
she was raising her hand.
She said she filled one out.
For public communications, not item 10, public communications. Uh-huh. Well, I think we have some high schoolers in the audience. Where are you guys? There you are. Come on up and introduce yourself and tell us what school you're at, what class you're representing, and the name of your teacher. You guys up there, you two over there. You don't have to be from Chino. Are you here on school? Okay, come on up. We get a lot of them that are not from Chino because they know a good council meeting to come to, so it's not unusual. I know. Us generals are that way. Go ahead, son.
My name's Tyler Harris. I'm here for Ms. Carpenter's government class for our social science project. We're going to have to attend one of these meetings and write down what's most important to us.
Is that Don Lugo?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Chris Heineman. I'm here for Miss Ragsdale for economy
And,
from Don Lugo High School also.
okay, thank you.
I am Cesar Ovalle. I'm here for Ms. Carpenter's government class, and I'm a senior
Don Lugo.
from Don Lugo High School.
Hello, I'm Josiah Apgar, and we are representing Ontario High School, part of
welcome.
Mr. Cox's AP government class, and we're here to take notes and do a report on our city council meeting.
Well, glad to have you guys. Very good. No, keep, no.
I tried. My name's
That
Scott.
didn't work.
My name is Scott Nelson. I attend Ontario Christian, and I'm here for my government class doing a report.
Welcome.
I'm Brooke Glanting from Ontario Christian High School and Government Report.
Glad to have you.
Hi, I'm Vance Lovano from Colony High School in Ontario.
Oh, Colony, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I just came to check out you guys' lovely meeting today.
Okay, thanks for being here.
My name's Theo Albers, and I'm here for my government class for Ontario Christian.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Very good. Now you can tell your teachers, give them a applause. They can view this on cable TV. It runs like twice or three times a day for 2 weeks, so that's the proof you'll have that you were here. Okay, that's the end of public communications. Next is the consent calendar. Anybody wishing to pull an item for discussion may do so now. Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Ulloa, second by Councilmember Elrod. Please vote. Consent calendar passes in the majority. Next is public hearings. Prior to the vote of the City Council, any member of the audience will have the opportunity to address the council on any items listed under public hearings. Council's request, but not required that you state your name and address prior to making your remarks. Next on the agenda is item 8, adoption of addendum to the Chino General Plan Update EIR. Our staff report this evening is by Nicholas Liguri, our Deputy Director of Community Development, City Planner, and Chris Lovell, our Principal Planner. Folks?
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. Before we begin talking about the specifics of this project, I would like to take a moment to talk about some items that are common to all three of these projects, items 8, 9, and 10, as they are all Measure M proposals that are on the agenda tonight. And that'll be able to give the council an overview and avoid some repetition later in the staff reports. The three projects before the council tonight are for proposed changes to the general plan land use designations, which require approval by the voters pursuant to Measure M, which was adopted in 1988. Pursuant to the measure, any change in land use from non-residential to residential or any increase in density on residentially zoned land requires voter approval. So tonight, the council is not being asked to approve any specific development project in these areas, but to place on a special election ballot 3 different questions that would ask the voters if the proposed land use changes in each area should be adopted. Now, for each of these projects, a full environmental analysis of the proposed land use changes and subsequent residential development was conducted. And those analyses found that the impacts from the proposed residential developments would be less than those from commercial and industrial developments, which is what the land use designations currently are for these areas. The reductions would be especially profound in the areas of traffic, air quality, and greenhouse gas emissions. Additionally, this analysis fully complies with the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, as well as the city's recently adopted Climate Action Plan and the Creed Settlement Agreement. All 3 projects also involve the conversion of land currently designated for commercial industrial uses to residential uses. And so staff required a fiscal impact analysis to be prepared for each project. That analysis revealed in each case that the project areas are currently saturated with commercial development and that the build out of these areas would occur over a very long period of time. It was shown that the city would benefit more in the future from having additional housing opportunities now, which will bring in additional sales tax dollars from new residents into existing commercial centers, which will make them more viable in the long term. So now that I've covered these commonalities, I'm going to ask Ms. Lovell to take over the rest of the staff report for this particular item, number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Liguri, Mayor Yates, and members of the City Council. The first project on tonight's agenda is being requested by Stratham Homes, who is requesting that the City Council adopt an addendum to the General Plan Update EIR and initiate the ballot measure that would allow for a change in the General Plan land use designation from general commercial to residential 12 units per acre. Now, this proposal would allow for the future development of up to 127 single-family homes. And as Mr. Liguri indicated, approval of the ballot measure is required for this land use change to become effective. With this project, there's also a related proposed amendment to the East Chino specific plan to permit the development of detached small lot single-family units and condominiums, as well as create development standards for these uses. The project site is in the East Chino specific plan area, as I'd said. It's generally located between Fern and Euclid Avenue on approximately 11.5 acres south of the Stater Brothers Shopping Center. Staff has evaluated the requested land use change and believe that it is reasonable to consider the change from commercial to residential because the proposed residential uses would be compatible with residential uses that currently exist to the west of the project site and future planned residential to the south. It would also provide additional housing opportunities in the city. Developing the site under the current commercial designation is challenging because of the constraints from the location of a Southern California Edison easement, which basically bisects the site, and that limits the amount of frontage on Euclid Avenue, which is important for commercial visibility. The applicant conducted outreach to the residents and owners within the project vicinity through a neighborhood meeting that was held on January 15th. One resident attended the meeting and was in support of the project. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposal at their meeting on January 29th and recommended that the City Council approve the general plan amendment and adopt the addendum. If approved by the City Council, this initiative would be placed on the ballot at a special municipal election held on July 8th. If approved by the voters, the applicant would then proceed through the city's development review process for the development plans and the tract map for consideration by the Planning Commission. This concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Prior to council comments or questions, I'll open this to the public hearing. I have no written request to speak on this item, but does anybody in the audience care to make comments for item 8? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Eunice?
Yeah, Chris, I have a question. Within the council agenda, the recommendation references RD 12, but when you look on the inside of the staff report, it references RD 14. Why the difference?
Correct. In the East Chino specific plan, there is no RD 12 designation. So within the East Chino specific plan, it would be RD 14. But the general plan is what would be the ruling designation. So the only amount of density that could be built here would be up to 12 units per acre. And in this case, the ballot measure would limit it to the 127 homes that are proposed for the project site.
Okay, then I have another question. When we did the East Chino specific plan years ago, there was a great deal of effort put forward to figure out costs for infrastructure. Parks, roads, bridges, thoroughfares, storm drains, sewer, water, all of that. And then there were costs that were apportioned to the properties that were supposed to be built. When we change something like this from either commercial or business park or whatever to housing, how does that affect the cost structure of all of the fees that we're going to be charged in order to pay for all of the stuff?
Sure. There is a development impact fee structure that is unique to the East Chino specific plan area. And so all of the fiscal or all the facilities that the city needed to provide in there in terms of all the streets and sidewalks and storm drains and those kinds of projects are all built into that development impact fee structure. Most of the public infrastructure items that were planned for East Chino have been constructed, and when a residential development project comes in, they have to pay a diff based upon their proportionate impact. Just based on an initial look, the diff for housing development of this nature, because it is a little bit higher density, would be equal to or potentially greater than the commercial. And so therefore, we believe that with the developer paying their diffs, they would be able to provide all of the necessary funds to build any outstanding infrastructure projects in the East Chino area. They do, for this project, they do have frontage improvements that are required, but some of the items that are related to Schaefer Avenue were completed when the Stater Brothers went in.
Okay, and then impacts on schools, water lines, sewer lines, and that sort of stuff was all on the East Pacific plan. Will increasing density like this affect that?
When we looked at the environmental impact report addendum that was prepared, all of those facilities were studied. The hydrology of the site was studied to look at how much water runoff was going to be coming. We also looked at the potential school impacts and what those would be. And through our study, it was determined that through the payment of their development impact fees, their school fees, and park fees, the project would be able to mitigate any impacts it would cause.
Okay, now this particular development doesn't have a park included in it, and it's only, they're going to develop 11.6 acres of the 14.1, correct?
That's correct.
Are there any kind of walkways or anything planned where kids can get over to a park without going on a busy street?
Part of the project has planned a private recreation center. So there will be a swimming pool, spa, maybe clubhouse, barbecue areas, and things like that for those residents. And then we're also working with the applicant for a plan for the Southern California Edison easement portion of the property to see what kind of amenities we'd be able to include in there that would be for open space and recreation purposes.
For kids to ride bikes and play ball and that sort of stuff?
Trail system.
Okay, that's all the questions I have right now.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council members? I would entertain a motion
So this is,
Moved.
again, is to put it on the ballot, correct?
and approve the EIR change.
Yes.
Right. We have a motion by Councilmember Howie, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Duncan. Please vote. And the item is approved in the majority. City Attorney, Mr. Gutierrez.
This is ordinance number 2014-006. It reads, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending the East Chino specific plan to change the land use designation for 11.6 acres generally located south of Schaefer Avenue between Fern Avenue and Euclid Avenue from village commercial to residential, 14 units per acre, to allow for small lot single-family units and detached condominiums in the RD 14 land use designation, to modify the street sections for portions of Fern Avenue and Euclid Avenue, and to make related minor cleanup provisions due to land use change.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Next, to item 9, adoption of the addendum to the Chino Plan Update EIR. Again, Nicholas Ligori, our Deputy Director of Community Development, and Chris Lovell, our Principal Planner.
Thank you, Mayor Yates, members of the City Council. This is the second proposal by Stratham Homes tonight, who is requesting that the City Council adopt an addendum to the General Plan Update EIR and initiate a ballot measure to change the General Plan land use designation from general commercial to residential agricultural RD2 and residential 12 units per acre in order to permit the future development of up to 94 single-family homes on the subject site. This site is on the other side of town along Central Avenue, just north of Francis. It's approximately, 1.5 acres of the easterly portion of the site is planned for 2 1/2-acre lots and a block wall that would separate it from the rest of the project site, and that would complete the end of Locust Street, which is currently located just to the east of the project site. So there'd be 2 1/2-acre lots that would be built with this project, and then a wall, and then the westerly portion of the project site, which is about 7.5 acres, that would accommodate 92 single-family detached condos. And those would take access directly off Central Avenue. Staff, again, has evaluated this request, completed the environmental analysis, and in our evaluation of the land use change, we believe that the proposed change is reasonable in that it is compatible with the adjacent residential uses. It would again also provide additional housing opportunities in the city, and it would provide future residents of the project with convenient access to shopping and transportation along the Central Avenue corridor. Additionally, the site is not well suited for commercial development since it's located mid-block and it's not at a major intersection, which would limit the visibility of the site for commercial viability. The applicant conducted outreach to the residents and property owners within the project vicinity. We did a mailing up to Phillips Street and over to Vernon Avenue, and the neighborhood meeting was held on January 16th. 8 people attended, and those were primarily residents and property owners that live on Locust Street. And they were generally pleased with the project, especially the inclusion of the 2 larger lots at the end of their street and then the construction of a block wall. The Planning Commission reviewed the project at their January 29th meeting and recommended that the City Council approve the general plan amendment and adopt the addendum. As with the previous project, if approved by the City Council tonight, the initiative would be placed on the ballot at the special municipal election held on July 8th. And if approved by the voters, the applicant would proceed through the development review process for the development plans and the track map, which would go to the Planning Commission for approval. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Prior to council comments or questions, I'll open the public hearing. I do not have any written requests to speak on this item. Item 9, is there anybody wishing to address this? Would you please come to the podium? State your name for the record, and you have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Hi, my name is Leslie Molinek-Stitzler, and I live east of Central on Vernon and Locust, right in the general area of their planned. What I don't, I get the housing. I don't get the 12 units per acre. I mean, it's kind of in what's there now, up and down Central. But what happens to Locust Street? What happens to that cul-de-sac that comes down towards me? Are they gonna open that cul-de-sac up to traffic, or are we gonna leave it closed?
Cul-de-sac would be closed, and there would be a block wall between the part of the project site that would front on Central. So there'd be 2 more lots at the end of Locust Street.
Will there be an opening at all? Because
No.
I know there's an opening on Dover, on the cul-de-sac for the apartments there. And in the past, there were a lot of problems with people coming and going, and we had a lot of burglary issues a while back, and we don't know where they were coming from. I'm not saying the apartments, but you get all this housing in there, and you bring all these houses in there, and you squish them in. 12, I mean, I live on an acre lot. I can't see 12 houses or 12 units on an acre. Where are you gonna park your cars? Where are all these vehicles gonna go?
Well, in answer to your first question, this did come up at the neighborhood meeting, and there was concern about having through traffic, whether it be by vehicle or pedestrians. And so the proposal is to have a block wall that would run along the common property line, so there'd be no through access
Okay.
into the Locust Street neighborhood. As far as the parking goes, there's a requirement that the city has in the zoning ordinance for a minimum of 3 cars, 3 spaces per unit. We will work through the development review process if this project is approved by ballot measure to have a parking plan that's presented, and the goal would be to provide parking in the interior streets as well as in the garages and in the driveways of the units, so that all of the parking can be accommodated on site.
Okay, and anything butting up to the wall coming to the cul-de-sac of Locust will be what acreage?
Well, the whole, the density is 12 units per acre, but along Locust Street at the very back, there would be a row of, I think, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 homes. So, I don't know if we want to use the graphic that we have. We could show
Acre,
the,
half acre?
The individual lots would, I'm trying to get the lot size here, but there would be individual detached homes along that common property line. The lots are essentially 2,000 to 2,900 square feet in size.
Okay. And that still leaves them separated from our track home,
That would be
right?
separated with the block wall, so it might be difficult to see at this scale, but along the right side of the screen there, you can see the end of Locust Street.
Uh-huh.
So there would be the cul-de-sac bulb there, and then 2 lots that would be constructed, and then the units that are along the easterly property line would all be detached, single-family homes.
That still puts a big buildup in our area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other folks in the audience wish to address this issue? We'll close the public hearing. Eunice.
Yeah, I have a lot of comments to make tonight about different things. And there's so much to say, I don't even know where to begin. But one of my real concerns with the process that's going on right now with the Measure M is that the city council spent a lot of time, staff spent a lot of time, and it cost the city over $1 million to put our general plan together. We're directly answerable to the people. And yet, these proposed zone changes go to staff first for input, and then they come to us as almost like an afterthought. Not quite, but you know what I mean. Staff doesn't answer directly to the public. We do, and we're held accountable. And yet, staff time is spent researching these plans that are proposed on changes, and we have no input. The citizens in the direct neighborhood have an input, maybe, if there's a public hearing that's held about it. But all the time and all the effort that went into a general plan to have balanced growth kind of gets thrown out the window. Now, when we went through the general plan effort, we tried really hard to have balanced growth. We tried to have, I coined the phrase a long time ago, something for everyone, to where you could start out with an apartment, get a condo, get a little single-family home, buy a little bit bigger home. At one time, we could even had farms, which are gone now. But we had a balance. We had something for everyone. We wanted to have a lot of jobs, which we've been very successful in. Our industrial commercial area is phenomenal. We wanted to have good parks and good streets, and we coined the phrase, the best place to live, work, and play. But our cycle is backwards now. We worked so hard to get a balanced community, and now there's proposed changes coming forward. We had just a couple in the past, but the three that are proposed now, and the ones that are in the work, are having a really big impact on our general plan and could potentially be huge. I'll talk about numbers later. But if in certain areas like Central Avenue and Euclid Avenue, we envision that to be good commercial business, what's the other term we used? Anyway, kind of a major corridor for business parks and that kind of stuff. And now it looks like the decision that we made long ago in trying to plan all of this maybe wasn't exactly right. So now it's being proposed to be changed. Because they're saying these areas won't develop for 15 or 20 years, and maybe even then they won't develop according to what we envisioned because the population isn't there to support these kinds of businesses. So now what we see coming forward are little pieces of changes. And instead of having a master plan where everything's coordinated, traffic signals, parks, all that sort of stuff, ingress, egress, it's being piecemealed. And I think what we're going to end up with is a mess. And what I would like to see, especially in the major corridors like Central and Euclid, is for the council to have a workshop on our general plan in those areas to revisit what we envisioned to see if it's really proper. If it isn't proper, then let's do it right. We spent a lot of time, for example, on the East Side specific plan, East Chino specific plan. And we were told back then by the developers, this will never go, it's too expensive, you can't do this, the infrastructure is so much, it's a disaster, it'll never build. And look at the results years later. We are having a proposed change, which I'll address in the next item. But it was a successful plan, and it's a beautiful area, and it's a place where people want to live. It has meandering sidewalks and nice walking areas and yards that people can play in and parks and all that sort of stuff. Because we did a master plan, we didn't piecemeal it a track at a time. And I think we're right on the verge of being very sorry for what's about to start, well, what is already happening, but what could progressively get a lot worse. And for items to come to staff, put in a lot of time, and then come to us later, I think we've got it backwards. I think the council needs to take an aggressive step and relook at our general plan, especially on the major corridors, and see if this is really what we want to do. Now, because of the proposed development, we're going to have 4 stop signals in a long block area. Well, there's a signal already at Phillips, there's one at Francis, there's one now for Victoria Outreach, and I imagine, well, I've heard there's going to be one more proposed because of this development and other developments that are being proposed on the west side of the street. So in a 1 block area now, we had 1 signal added, now we're going to get another one, so you're going to have 4 signals in a short area. I'm not so sure that's the way we want our community to go. So I really want the council to think about, which we'll discuss after the next item. I really think we need to have a workshop and review what we're doing, especially on our major corridors. Oh, and I do want to acknowledge the developer of this particular project met with me which I really appreciated because of the concern with this project backing up to large lots. I don't live within 500 feet, so legally I don't need to recuse myself from this item, but it is an awkward position for me because everybody in the world knows how I stand on large lots. But I cared and I appreciated the fact that Stratham Homes came to me and talked to me about this development, and where they were willing to work with the neighborhood and do 2 half-acre, 1-story homes next to the existing 1-acre homes. That shows good faith to me, and I really, really appreciate that. They are a good developer. I don't agree with the high density. I understand that's the way things now appear to be going. I don't agree with it, but I appreciate them reaching out and accommodating the neighborhood that was right next to it. And the neighborhood, apparently, I did not attend the meeting on purpose, but apparently the neighborhood was satisfied with their efforts to reach out and do the large lot, single-story homes next to the existing homes. And I think that's important because people buy their homes thinking that they can count on what's going to be next to them. So I just want to go on record that I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other council member questions or comments? I would entertain a motion. Moved by Councilman Howie, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Duncan. Please vote. Item passes unanimously. Mr. Gutierrez.
This is ordinance number 2014-008, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, approving a zone change, amending ordinance number 2010-06, which updates the zoning map by placing 7.7 acres of land generally located on the east side of Central Avenue, approximately 600 feet north of Francis Avenue, into the RD12 zone, and 1.5 acres of land generally located at the western end of Locust Avenue into the RD2 zone.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Next on the agenda, item 10, adoption of the addendum to the Chino General Plan Update EIR. Again, our staff report is by Nicholas Ligori and Chris Lowell.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. The applicant for this item, Lennar Homes, is requesting that the City Council adopt an addendum to the General Plan Update EIR and initiate a ballot measure to change the land use designation for 38.5 acres of land in order to permit up to 203 single-family homes. Approval of the ballot measure for this project is required pursuant to Measure M. The project will be located on the north side of Eucalyptus between San Antonio and Euclid Avenues. There's two components to this project. The 20.4 acre parcel located between Fern and Euclid Avenues is currently designated Business Park, which is industrial land use designation, and is proposed to be changed to the RD8 and RD12 land use designations, which would accommodate two different types of housing for a total of 147 single-family homes, be an average density of about 7 units per acre on that site. The other part of the project is an 18.1 acre parcel that's located between Fern and San Antonio Avenues. It's currently designated RD2. It's proposed to be changed to the RD 4.5 designation, but would accommodate 56 homes at an average density of 3 units per acre. As previously stated, a full environmental analysis of the proposed land use change and subsequent development was conducted and found that the impacts from the proposed residential development would be substantially less than those from the industrial development that could be permitted currently on the site between Euclid and Fern. The proposed land uses would also serve as an appropriate transition between residential neighborhoods to the north, west, and south of the site. Staff and the applicant conducted extensive outreach with residents in the area, and 2 neighborhood meetings were held, and mail notices were sent to properties as far north as Edison Avenue. After receiving comments from residents from the neighborhood to the north at the first meeting, the applicant went back, made changes to the project responsive to those concerns, and held a second neighborhood meeting. The Planning Commission on March 22nd held a public hearing. And at that hearing, they voted 5-2 not to recommend the ballot measure be placed by the City Council. 2 residents at that meeting spoke in opposition to the project, and the Commission was mainly concerned with the upzoning of the RD2 parcel. Since the Planning Commission meeting, several residents in the area have stated their support for the project in letters and phone calls to staff. Staff received a letter late today from Briggs Law Corporation recommending that the council not approve the project. Staff has reviewed the letter and believes the assertions made by Mr. Briggs are incorrect, and that the city has complied fully with all aspects of the California Environmental Quality Act and the Creed Settlement Agreement. Additionally, staff would add that the council is not being asked to approve the project tonight, but is only being asked to place the project on the ballot to be voted on by the citizens in a special election. If approved by council, the ballot initiative would be placed on the July 8th, 2014 ballot. And if approved by the voters, Lennar would be required to obtain further project approvals from the Planning Commission. The election will be a special election, and the applicant will pay 100% of the costs associated with the election. Staff recommends that the City Council take the actions noted in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Again, prior to council comments or questions, I'll open it for the public hearing. I have several requests to speak. I didn't call you McGruff. So I would ask you, I got this whole stack of requests, is please try not to repeat yourself when the person that speaks before you. We're going to be here quite a while at 5 minutes per person. Greg, did you fill out a request to speak?
Mayor Yates, they were out when I came in again, so I apologize.
Well, seeing how you represent Lenore, I think I'm going to let you go first. Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor Yates, distinguished council members. My name is Greg McGuff. I'm the regional president for Lennar Homes. We've been actively involved in the city since 2010 when we acquired College Park, in a much different environment today than it was in 2010. And we've enjoyed the relationship. And the first thing we did when we acquired College Park is we not only met with the city, we met with the residents. And we met with the residents who were three compelling points that continued to come up every time we met with them. Number one, and in this order, was when are you going to develop and when can we see development on the two properties we bought for those that are living adjacent to it. Number two is when is the rec center going to open, and number three is when is Euclid going to open. And we're proud and excited the rec center is open, and Euclid now goes, or excuse me, Eucalyptus now goes all the way from Euclid to Central. And we're very proud of the community, and I just want to have an opportunity to express some of our thoughts of what we're trying to accomplish there. Nick, I don't know if the PowerPoint that we sent, oh, if I knew how to use it. So the areas in pink is where the dairy and the light industrial is. The rest is the College Park area. And we really have tried to take the approach of how can we make and live this feel so it's one community at the end, it's master plan at the end, so the experience that you have now as you drive through College Park exists all the way from Central to Eucalyptus. We're not looking at other properties within the city. We're looking at trying to complete what otherwise isn't complete within the master plan. And we did that. We want to transition the housing, so you went from the 20,000 square foot home sites existing to 15s, to a minimum of 87s, which on average are much larger. And then on the homes and home sites closer to Euclid, the 4200s and the detached auto plaza. So really there was something for everyone relative to the different housing product types that we would be offering. And in addition to that, all the edge conditions, it would be done by the same landscape architects, the same engineers, so that there's a look and a feel that is consistent throughout, which is currently at College Park, including an extension of the horse trails, which are adjacent to us to the north. We did meet with the neighbors. Their concerns we tried to address by aligning the property lines, so the home sites adjacent to the homes to the north, the property lines are contiguous. There's connectivity via a path. The residents didn't want a through street, so we've given connectivity through a walking path. We've included single-story homes on the home sites that are adjacent to the existing neighbors with a minimum 30-foot buffer, and we realign the community entrances on Fern Avenue. When we look at specifically the Verhoeven piece, which is where some of the concerns were, we're asking for 4.5 units to the acre, but that's just because that's what the city ordinance, that's the next uptick, if you will. It's currently at 2.0. The reality is it will be at 3.1. And we've tried to push the needle as far as we can to go to 2 to the acre, but with infrastructure costs being so significant and over $2.5 million, the viability of development to move forward really got limited at about 3.1 per acre. And I just want to show you some of the architecture. This is where I'm pride. This is where I'm passionate about. This home is just opened in Eastvale. We call it the Desi Arnaz home, which is modeled after Desi's home. It's a single story. It's 70 feet wide. And it lives the way a lot of modern architecture is living, with great rooms, with nano walls, meaning the entire back of the home, the glass slides open into covered outdoor spaces with fireplaces. The center architectural theme you see in the middle, that's an indoor 16-foot level on the first floor. So you really have expansiveness, and it's just an unbelievable home, minimizing garage forwards and trying to really show strong architecture, and you will see us between our planscape, our hardscape, our architecture, really developing a move-up executive community on this piece of property that I think the city and the residents will be very proud of. This is another larger home, 4,400 square feet, provides for multi-generational living. Notice the stone paver, notice the landscaping, notice the heavy features within the homes themselves. And this is the style of home you can expect in what we will be proud of at this community. So in the end, again, as been stated, we're requesting to bring this to ballot so the citizens can vote. But we assure you it will have the same quality of detail that you see at College Park, if not more. And we're very proud to have our names associated with it. And again, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Okay, first one I got is, oh, you people's penmanship. Adrian, I can't do the last name. I can't even spell it. Starts with a W.
I'm sorry, that's
Oh, on Piedmont?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Adrian Wu. I live at College Park. I was a former College Park board member. And I'm here on behalf of most of the College Park residents, if not all. We're in favor of putting the Lennar home on ballot for the citizens of the city to vote on. Our major concern is the dairy. We'd like to see the dairy out of there ASAP. And one way to do that, to achieve that, is to let the citizens of the city speak out. Hopefully they can vote in favor of Lennar's proposal. And as the mayor just mentioned, because we're going to have repeat common interests when we fill out those forms out. So just to limit, to not to waste any of your time, I think I can speak on behalf of most of the folks in here in the back.
Very good.
Quite a few of us. I don't know if Alicia Chen, she's a current board member, if she wants to speak, to ask. Should I?
Well, you finish up, and
Oh,
we've
okay,
got people,
okay,
other
okay.
people.
Because I don't want to discount her involvement. And basically, that's what we are here for, is
Okay, we
to
appreciate your
hopefully
comments.
the measure will get on the ballot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben Huango? Did I butcher that too?
Huang.
What is it?
Huang.
Oh, Huang, oh, okay.
Yeah. Hi, good evening. I live in College Park on the Piedmont Street, the same as Adrian. Yeah, I moved to College Park in 2008. Yeah, from the day when I tried to purchase the property, you know, the builder told us, the dairy farm will move the next year. You know, from 2008 up to now, 6 years passed. Yeah, the dairy farm still there.
Well, there was a thing called a recession that struck the nation.
Oh, yeah,
so
true.
That may have had something to do with it.
Yeah. And plus, I have a 2-year-old daughter. Yeah, she cannot bear, seeing, you know, in such tiny area, so many cows, scream together. Yeah, so, even our master bedroom, facing the dairy farm, actually, we moved to the other side, the guest room. Yeah, because of the noise, the smell, and sometimes the flies, so, we never dare open the window of the master bedroom. So I'm here, really strongly support the Lennar plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, David Chen on Piedmont. David?
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council Committee members. My name is David Chen, and I live in College Park, same as the Adrian and Ben in Piedmont Street. I'm here, I just make it short. I'm here to support Lennar's development plan. First one is currently, maybe Lennar is not the best option, but it's currently the only option that we have to have the dairy out as soon as possible. And the other one, based on the plan, if this the RD 4.5, I think it's not the best size. It still have a 96, 80 square feet. It's really good size for us. So I just here to support them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Arthur Chow. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. David Tu, is that correct? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Ren Yang, you'd like to speak?
Yeah, I'm Ren Yan. I'm just a few meters away from the dairy farm. In my backyard, there are a peach tree. In the spring, it always have a beautiful flower and get a big peach. But I cannot eat that peach because there are a lot of fly.
Flies like peaches. Should have thought of that before you planted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love peaches. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also especially the winter time, I have to close all the windows because in the winter time there is normally the wind from north to the south. I'm living in the south side of the dairy farm. The smell is too bad. I have to close all the windows. Even the windows and the south side still smell. Also, that farm has a lot of wild pigeon. It's just fly around the sky and sit on the top of the house.
You talking about pigeons? You
Yeah.
said? Well, pigeons.
Pigeon. Yeah.
Yeah, they eat the grain.
We
What
have
they do.
to hire, spend the extra money to just hire someone to put something on the building to in case they build less there, and also the pigeon just they poop. Yeah, I just tell the truth. So that's why I strongly
I
support
take it,
this
I take it
project,
that you're
yeah.
in favor of this development.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're
thank
getting
you.
gooey now. Okay. Patty Zaragoza. And Patty, I just want to tell you before you start that, yes, we all got your email.
Good, because I forwarded,
Yeah, I know.
forwarded, and called you, and you nicknamed me Chatty Patty. At any rate, you know I support the Lennar proposition because I live right up against that dairy, and he's only had 6 years. I've had 10 years. And I would really like to get to use my yard. And I can guarantee you that my neighborhood is here. And we all feel the same way. We feel that Lennar really worked with us to listened to what we wanted and lowered the houses, single stories, aligned the streets, widened the lots. They did so many things that we didn't think we needed to come to the other meetings. So we are all here now because we want this on the ballot so we can get the dairy to go. We've waited 10 years. They've worked with us, and it should follow through all the way to Euclid. And I'm ready. And I can guarantee you every one of these other people up here are going to get up here and tell you the exact same thing. If you are with me, raise your hand. Okay, is that showing it down a little bit? Anybody who's not ready for Lennar? There you go. Now we can go home.
Thanks, Patty. Thanks. High school kids are going, you guys are all crazy. William Colbow. Doesn't say where he's from or where he lives or nothing.
Colbo. From College Park, 14521 Purdue Avenue. Three houses south of the Albers property. I'm also here to speak in support of the project. I think that I've lived in College Park since 2007, and I lived through the dark days of Sun Cal and their empty promises. And Lennar has done a wonderful job with our community, and actually, carried out their promises. So, my wife and I wholeheartedly agree with this proposition, and we will be supporting it. Obviously, if the council puts it on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. You done? Kevin McDowell from Persimmon. Boy, a lot of you live on Persimmon, huh?
A lot of persimmons.
A lot of persimmons in here.
So good evening. My name is Kevin McDowell. I am Patty's next door neighbor. So I was hearing about it over
Yeah, I
this
bet
year.
you were.
Yes. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening. I own a home on Persimmon Street, just adjacent to the Verhoeven Farm, right to the north. For perspective, I've provided you with an aerial photo of the farm and our neighborhood. And let me be clear with respect to why I support the Lennar project. I would like to see the dairy farm go away, just like everyone else who has already spoken. Until now, I'm unaware of any other plan to buy the farm and create a neighborhood we've all hoped for and anticipated. While I realize that the existing general plan land use designation for the farm is RD2 and the Albers property is a business park, the reality is that no company, to my knowledge, has ever proposed to develop these sites in accordance with those designations. So, it is my understanding that Lennar is the only developer that has come forward, certainly has in the 11 years that I've lived in my home. So their original specs, as you already heard, concerned some of my neighbors and I. And Lennar was very good about working with us to address those concerns. And I won't go through them because Greg already did this evening. But as you can see, it was really an example of a true partnership between Lennar and the residents. So I would just like to say that I agree with the conclusions that I also read in a report from the Planning Commission. It was a staff report dated March 17th, which calls the project a logical growth area with a density compatible with the surrounding developments. We are that surrounding development. So please listen to the local residents this evening who no longer, and who already have expressed their opinions to the developer and now are generally very supportive of this project with those amended land use designations. So I was told that some in the city aren't in favor of the amendment just because the Vanderhoeven farm site is designated RD2. Someone said, well, if Lennar's plan falls through, then we'll just wait for another developer to come along. I feel that it's just as likely that someone might come along instead of a developer and buy the farm and then operate the farm as a farm for the next generation. God forbid. As I stated at the beginning, my motivation is for us to have a community, build that community, and the way I'm looking at this Lennar project is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And the bird that we have right now is this Lennar project. So let's not let this bird get away. I'm asking for the sake of the residents, that includes me, who will be impacted by this decision. I reviewed the cultural resources survey, the environmental impact report, the fiscal impact reports, the traffic impact analysis, pages and pages of graphs, charts, photos, studies, that still don't really address the fundamental issue here, which is whether or not the plan creates an appropriate continuity from and blend with the surrounding neighborhoods. We are not charts, we're not graphs, we're not stats, we are people, we are families. Just like you, we want a high quality of life. If that farm goes away, our life will improve. Please don't deprive us of what we all want. When you're considering impacts, give weight to the impact on us, the people who lived in that surrounding community. When you vote, please look at the picture that I just gave you. It really illustrates how we are currently situated right next to that farm. If you're standing in my yard, all you have to do is hop the fence, you're in the farm. So I ask you, in conclusion, to please allow this amendment to go through as proposed, be placed on the ballot, and be put it before the voters in a special Measure M election. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next request is from Kevin Chang. Mr. Chang.
My name is Kevin Chen, live in College Park. I support Lennar's construction. my reason is very simple. It's a win-win situation because when we smell cow, it's not good to us. It's not healthy. Today, there's so many cars drive by farm, and the car release smog. Smog is poison. So when the cows smell the smog, the cow gets sick. So they better move. It's good to us, good to them. So I support Lenore's project.
That's
Thank
a
you.
new twist. Thanks. That's a good one. I heard it all now. Oshua Chen, did I get that right? Oh, was it Alicia?
Yes, Alicia.
It looks like you put a U there.
Sorry, I was writing on my hand.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Mary and City Council, you're probably about to know how to speak Chinese pretty well by the end of this meeting. But there's a lot of things that's already been said, so I'm not going to repeat that. Basically, you heard about the flies, you heard about the smell, but let me kind of give you a few more statistics on the factual portion of the impact on this community. First of all, we have no control over what the market is doing, and so unfortunately, effective January 1st, 2014, the lending criteria has dramatically came down. Before, we are able to loan up to $435,000 or so for FHA loans. Now we're not able to. Now it's lower to $338,000. So there's going to be a lot of people impacted. They cannot afford homes that are too big sometimes. So there needs to be some sort of balance between how many homes are affordable and how many homes are actually bigger for move-up families. So I do hear the concern of the high density, so I would like to address that since the smell and the fly has been really over-addressed, and so I think we all know that. But for the density, I think there's a lot of commercial being built just off of Euclid down towards 71. There's plenty of commercial buildings, and I believe that we need to kind of offset that and balance that with commercial. And with Lennar Homes, I'm also one of the homeowner at College Park. Lennar has been great in making modifications that's kind of gearing towards what the changes out there are for the market. And so I am in support of Lennar home building properties there. As far as the high density, I think we can probably work on that. And as far as Greg already addressed, they're willing to make some sort of modification to address that issue. But at this time, I think there cannot be 100% of 100% of people that was going to be in favor of things. But we had to outweigh the positive and the negatives. And at this point, there was plenty of commercials already, and I do see that Euclid is a potential area for commercial. However, there's already a lot of commercial being built towards 71 and towards 60 on Euclid. So with that being said, I think the residents here would like to support Lennar.
Thank you, Ms. Chen. Now, this one just says H-U-A-N-G. That's all it says. Huang, is that what it is?
Mr. Mayor and council members, my name is Wang. I live in Bethany, which is on the other side of the Van Hoven development. And I think my whole neighborhood is actually supporting this whole program. So I just want to kind of lend my support in this meeting as well. And I also want to actually extend my compliment to the city staff. Out of the two meetings that we had, they seem to be genuinely interested in listening to what the neighborhood has to say. So I just want to make sure that
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next and final, Vicky's son, is it? Son? Vicky?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Vicky Sun. I living across the dairy farm, but I really, hear everyone say it's my concerned about too. I hope city mayor, concern management, concerned about us. We want to get alive. We want to clean air, kind of stuff, a good environment. Okay, thank you.
We appreciate your
Yeah.
testimony. Thank you. That's all of the written requests I have to speak on this issue. Is there anybody in the audience that, sir, can come forward and state your name for the record, please? You're reminded you have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Mayor, I'm a little out of my element, but this is important because my name is John Crawley, and I live on Cherry Court, which is just north of the dairy. We've been there for 10 years and actually very much enjoy our community. I really want to appreciate what Council Member Uella mentioned, that sometimes we got to stop and look at what we're doing. The high density, the compression of so many people in such a small area. You really hit a home run with that. So hopefully it sunk into some of the people. Also, the question of water and sewer capacity seemed to got sidestepped. You specifically asked a question, and the only thing that he answered was in regards to the rainwater runoff, not to your question of can we handle all this new infrastructure. You know, the builders will come, they'll do their project, and I'm sure that Greg and his team will do a great job. And the Planning Commission voted this down, as you are well aware, and I was generally surprised of what was taking place. But in the end, we like the idea of the project. We understand that the dairy is not going to be there. Whether this is the one chance that we have to take the ball and run with it, I don't know. But you know, one of the things that the folks in this room need to understand is that the flies don't know boundaries. They don't know fences. They'll be there for years to come. So if you think it's going to change overnight, I don't think you've lived in Chino long enough. So we're going to miss the cows. We know they're going to go. But the last point I would like to make is that if Lennar is going to go ahead and do their their housing of 3.1 to the acre, that they stick to that we don't come back later on and find all of a sudden that, oh, well, economic changes have taken place and now we'd like to do something else. You know, we want to increase the density. So on just to the east of us there at the other project, it's definitely high density. And of course we had concerns about traffic, and that gets sidestepped with environmental impact reports and that kind of thing. So I don't want to sit here and just ramble, but in the end, support the project. I think what they've done is good, and that's all I have to say. Thank you for the
Mr.
time.
Crowley.
Take care.
Appreciate your testimony. Anybody else wishing to speak? Yes, sir. State your name for the record. You have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Eli Vera, and I'm one of the homeowners that lives directly north of the Lennar project at Bridlewood 2. I've lived there for about 12 years. And I spoke at the City Planning Commission a couple of weeks back or a week back and expressed my concerns as to rezoning that area. First of all, I want to say that I'm not a naysayer, and I'm very proud to live in this city. It's a tremendous city, and I think you guys do a phenomenal job, and we have great folks that work here. I heard very, very clearly from most of our community. They're very concerned, obviously, with the development or the non-development of the dairy, and I feel their pain. I understand, definitely. My concern was more about the fact that when we originally purchased the property, we did our homework and we checked with the city, and it was zoned as our two houses per acre. I understand that things change, and I'm not against Lennar. They've done a phenomenal job at College Park. I think they've done great work, and I believe they'll probably do as they've promised in the development to the south. So in saying that, I have one concern. I will reverse my position as far as being against the development down below us in that manner. But my concern is, and it's out of ignorance, the stress that it puts on some of the services within the city. Having lived in Bridlewood for 12 years, of late, I've noticed as the community has grown and we have a lot more densely populated areas, a spike in thefts. Just 3 weeks ago, we had 5 vehicle burglaries just on our street in that cul-de-sac. And we have to acknowledge the fact that as we rezone our areas, especially the high density, we're putting more cars on the street, and these criminals are opportunists. And they walk around and they look for those opportunities. So if we are going to develop that area, I just would hope that we're going to staff our police department adequately so that we have a better presence. It is no slam on them because I'm a big fan of the Chino Police Department. I think that they serve us very admirably. They do a tremendous job. And as a 26-year law enforcement veteran, I truly appreciate them, and I feel comfortable leaving my family when I leave. But that being said, we definitely have a spike in activity on a regular basis with people driving through. I just want to make sure that as we develop these areas, that at least we are increasing our number of patrolmen in the area to make sure that we're not bringing in the criminal element and they take advantage of the opportunities that they see before them in these developments, their high density. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Anybody else that failed to write a written request? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Councilmember
Yeah,
Howard?
Dennis, after reviewing the landowners here, I happen to realize that both Mr. Verhoeven's Dairy, and Albers, both are clients of mine. I'm their insurance broker, and I feel I have to recuse myself from this vote. So I'm going to step off while the council does the vote for this. And I'm just not going to make any more comments about it, but I'm just going to recuse myself. So.
Mayor and council members, let me state that it's my belief that Mr. Howie probably does not have a conflict of interest because of the nature of the action. But in the case of income, I did not get an opportunity to review the maze of regulations applicable to you, so I think it's safer for you to step off. I did do a similar review for Councilwoman Ulloa because I had prior notice of that, and I was satisfied that under the regulations she did not have a conflict because you're not directly voting on the matter, you're merely voting to put it on the agenda, and that qualifies more likely as an indirect or insubstantial financial interest.
Not on the agenda, on the ballot.
Excuse me, on the ballot, that's what I meant. But because I haven't had a chance to check it, I think it would be best for you to recuse yourself as you have done.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? What?
I'm going to go last if the gentlemen have something to say.
No, you're not going to be last. I'll be last. I'm not being rude.
King Dennis.
The Queen says you can go first.
Okay. I lived there for 14 years. I lived 10 years on the north side of Edison, and then I lived 4 years on the south side of Edison in the tract that preceded Bridlewood. We lived there. We were equal distance between two dairies, so I certainly can sympathize with the people that live there and what they're going through. I had somebody call me when they were building Bridlewood because they were buying a house that backed up to the dairy. And they had done some research and found that there were 10,000 flies per cow, and I said, that's about right. So I can certainly sympathize. I also understand that our heritage is agricultural. The dairies have a right to be there. They were there long before I moved there, but progress happens.
Thank you. Councilman Elrod, do you have any comments?
Well, I know that flies are a big problem there. My daughter lives down there, so I mean it's a problem. But you know, the dairy, as far as I'm concerned, could stay there as long as they want to. But they've made the decision now; it's time to leave. And Lennar's come up, I think, with 3 to an acre. I think that's a real good density. That's a big lot. And as I get older, they look bigger and bigger. So And I like the idea of single-story homes. That's, a lot of people are looking for that because they can't go upstairs and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of positive things to it, so that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Ulloa.
Yes, as I said, I had a whole lot of comments to make. With respect to the dairy, who, I can't remember which person it was that said, you know, that they were told, apparently by the realtor, that the dairy would be gone in a year. That's a problem that we had over the years. And those dairies were grandfathered in. They were allowed to be there as long as they wanted. And I do sympathize with you. I get it. I get the dust. I get the flies. I get the inconvenience. I understand. Totally understand. But you did choose to buy there, and you did choose to buy next to a dairy. And not to be rude, but realtors don't always tell the truth. In fact, we had such a problem with that years ago that we actually had to pass, I think it was an ordinance, where we required real estate brokers and housing developers to actually have a disclaimer in their paper packet of paper that they made you sign acknowledging that you were moving close to intense agricultural uses that could be there in perpetuity. And there was a reason for that. We knew there would be issues as the land transitioned. But to get back to the other concerns that I have, that I spoke about a little bit briefly, and that is balanced growth. I would like for the developers to respect the general plan, respect the housing density. There's a reason why the densities are what they are. Now, I've heard your testimony, I understand, and I sympathize with you, and I think, you know, 3 for an acre isn't a bad deal at all. However, you've compromised, which I understand, and that's reality. But for example, if somebody came to you and bought that dairy farm and said, okay, we're gonna put a high-rise 20-story building in, and we're gonna propose it to the city, and staff would have to take that proposal, and they would have to make comments on it. And of course, you would be having a heart attack thinking, I don't want a 20-story building beside me. And then maybe the developer would come back and say, okay, I understand, you're concerned. I'm not gonna do 20 stories. I'm gonna do 4 stories. Even though the land is zoned RD2, half-acre lots. And you would say, oh, thank God, it's a compromise. It's better than 20-story. I'll accept 4-story. And that's kind of, and Greg, I appreciate what you're saying. This is a business for you. I understand your bottom line. But you're compromising on something that you really didn't have to compromise. They're able to build now, instead of commercial, they're able to put 150 homes. If you don't think they're making enough profit to build 2 per acre instead of 3 per acre, I disagree with that. I think they could have afforded to keep the continuity of the area and stay with RD2. And the reason why I'm concerned with that, one of the reasons why I'm so concerned with our loss of RD1, which is 1 per acre, and RD2, which is 2 per acre, are a lot of reasons. We have very, very few 1-story homes that are being proposed and being built. Now, these 10 or 11 that are going to back up to the existing homes are going to be 1-story. 10 or 11 out of 203, figure out the percentage. It's not all that many. They're called executive homes, and they are going to be nice homes. But what used to be called a regular tract home was a 4.5 density units per acre. The development community is now referring to regular development as RD8, which is 8 units per acre, and most of everything being proposed now is RD8 or higher. With these dense areas, one of the concerns that I have, and I know people that live in the RD8, RD12, RD20s, there's no parking. You're building behemoth homes, 4,400 square feet, sometimes more, with a 2 or 3 car garage on most narrow lots, and most of them are going 2 and 3 stories now. So you figure you have a 4-bedroom home. There's mom and dad, that's 2 cars. Say they have 2 or 3 kids, that's 5 cars. You have a 2 or 3 car garage, and then you park everyone, and then you have a family gathering for Thanksgiving or Christmas, there's no room. And talk to anybody that lives in these developments. There are not enough parking spaces. I understand the developers are complying with what we require. I don't think our requirements are good enough anymore. There's usually no place for kids to play. There might be a rec room and there might be a small area, but where do the kids go to play ball? They have to go down to a little community park or whatever. Not everybody wants to live on top of each other. We had a lady who was given a recognition certificate this evening from Fair Housing. It was for equal housing. Housing for everyone. Dare to be fair. That was something that she said. Well, let's dare to be fair to everybody. We don't always have to build affordable. We don't always have to build high density. The building industry does a lot, they conduct a lot of studies to see what the market will bear and what will sell. It's a business, and they're in it for their bottom line. I get that too. I understand that, and if I were a developer, I would be going for the same thing. But the pendulum swings, and a lot of the people that now have moved into very dense housing now want to move out of dense housing, and they want back to a neighborhood like they grew up in, where there's a little bit of elbow room and maybe room to throw a ball in the backyard or maybe have a garden. And so now some of them are moving out of the high density areas and looking for one-story larger lots so that they can enjoy other things. Many people have recreational vehicles, whether it's a motorhome, a trailer, Sea-Doos, motorcycles. Not everybody wants to go put them down at McBride's or a rental yard. Some people actually like bringing them home. And maybe they'll pay a premium for that extra side space to put something in the backyard. Third of an acre homes can be situated such so that you can drive to the back. We have an ordinance. We don't allow people to park in the street anymore or in their front area, in their driveways with trailers and motorhomes. And there's a reason for that. One, for visibility, safety, and it just makes the neighborhood look nicer if you don't have big vehicles hanging out. Like I said, the pendulum swings. So my dream for the city 30 years ago when I got involved in this was so we would have something for everyone. Not just affordable, not just market-driven high density, but something for everyone, and we're losing that. Piecemealing, like we're doing right now with the Measure M, can be a disaster. A lot of times it doesn't flow, the traffic doesn't flow right. The development just doesn't tie in right. That's why we went with so many master plans on things. Not enough parks, or no parks at all if it's piecemealed, because you can't possibly force a developer on 10 acres to put 5 of it in a park. It just isn't feasible. We all know, those of us that are involved in government, that property tax increment to a city doesn't even cover police and fire services. That's why we emphasize commercial and industrial development, so that we can get sales tax revenue, so that we can create jobs. Because housing is a drain. Bedroom communities are financially in trouble. I want to share with you some statistics. I took these statistics off of our general plan, the basics, and asked staff to fill in the rest for me. Now this is going to be really amazing. Right now, already built, we have 22,075 residential units of all densities. It all adds up to 22,075. To be built with no Measure M changes, 14,285 more are going to be built in our city. Most of the high density is down in the preserve area because of the high cost of infrastructure. The pending Measure M items, the 3 tonight, plus a couple more that are hanging out there yet to come forward, are changing. They're going from 88 density units, 88 homes, to 824. 719 of those pending changes are RD8 or higher. That's 88% of the proposed changes are high density. There are 35 one-acre units still to be developed in the city. The whole city, only 35. And there's a pending change for 29 of those. That'll leave 6 one-acre homes left to be built in this city. Half acre, there's a lot more to be built. There's 1,150 to be built. But just like you heard tonight, the 59 that would have been on this development are now gone. Stratham is adding 2. So we're losing 59 and we're adding 2. So you can see, I think, you can perhaps understand or be a little bit sensitive to the dilemma that I'm going through. I got involved in this community 30 years ago because of this very issue. I cherish what Chino has. A lot of people move here because of now the illusion that we have low density and a lot of space, open space. And whether we like the flies with the dairies or not, we did come from an agricultural background. And I have horses, so I understand the dust and the flies. And for me, the pleasure of having them is worth putting up with the bad part of it. But that's my personal lifestyle. And I certainly don't expect anybody else to put up with that if you don't choose to. But I do believe very strongly in having options. And fair housing means fair housing for all, not just affordable, and not just those that want to live on top of each other. We're losing our older population because there are very, very few. These 11 that Lennar are proposing are some of the very few one-story homes being proposed. And a lot of the older generation, like me, are finally at the point in our lives where maybe we have a motorhome and maybe we don't want to store it, maybe we want to bring it home. Or maybe we have a boat finally. But again, the dream was you start out in an apartment, maybe have a condo, get a little small single family home, and then you aspire to move up. Now if you want to move up in the city of Chino, unless you want to buy an existing home, and there's nothing wrong with an existing home, but if you want to buy something new, you're going to have to leave town. You're going to have to go to Rancho Cucamonga or Norco or somewhere else that still hangs on to that real low-density classification. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to lose our citizens. What makes Chino special is the multi-generational population that we have. And I was told once by a developer that, if you don't want to climb stairs, you can buy one of the new 2-story homes and just use the downstairs. Well, I don't know about you, and maybe there are some people that want to do that, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend that kind of money and live downstairs, have guests, and put them upstairs, and then I can't even climb the stairs to go up and clean and change the linens. So to me, that's not acceptable. I would like options for our community. So again, as I stated, I really want the council to have a workshop. These items will go forward. They'll go on the Measure M, they'll go on the ballot under the Measure M. Now I'm stumbling all over the place. Anyway, they'll be voted on by the citizens. But at the same time, you hold us accountable, not staff. You hold us. And I think it's up to us to look at our general plan and ensure that we have a truly balanced community. Those of you that spoke this evening for the dairy moving out, again, I get it, I understand. But interestingly enough, looking at the picture that the gentleman provided, I find it very interesting that in one of the homes, it looks like they have a tennis court. In another home, it looks like they have a beautiful big play area, maybe for kids. Other ones have great big yards. You have what you want. You have your dream. I have my dream. I have an acre. Mr. Howie, Mr. Duncan both have half acres. They have their dream. Mr. Elrod has a 1-story. He has his dream. I don't want other people not to get a dream. I want everybody to have an opportunity to have a dream in Chino. And Lennar, Greg, if you can squeeze half-acre lots into that, I would really, really praise you if you would do that and honor the general plan. So I would like the council, again, to look at our general plan and see maybe what we've done that isn't proper, and maybe we need to reconsider some of the stuff that we have. I think we have, gosh, my pen fell off. I guess we have obviously made a mistake along our thoroughfares, our broad thoroughfares, because there isn't enough to support commercial. And ma'am, you spoke about commercial down by Euclid. That's actually industrial. All those great big buildings going in is industrial, not commercial. And I guess I have rattled on and on enough, except that I'm extremely passionate about this. Like I said, I got involved with all of this stuff 30 years ago, and I'm going to keep fighting it because I believe in our community and I believe in opportunities for everybody. So thank you for putting up with my comments.
Well, as Eunice says, Measure M, this item is going to you, the voters, if the council decides to put it in a vote coming up here in a couple of minutes, is that you will make the ultimate decision. I know, talking with the developers, that it used to be nice when Eunice bought her property and got the acre. It was a hell of a lot cheaper than it is now. And
It's all relative to income.
yeah, and the income hasn't risen. The housing and the property has risen, and it's very expensive to put infrastructure in, and it's all driven by the almighty dollar and the quality of life. Thank goodness we here in the city of Chino have Measure M. And you folks, not only you folks that live at College Park can vote on this, on all three items on the Measure M. Everybody in this community, if they see the way that Eunice proclaims, then you just vote them down, and that's the end of it. And then we just stay with our original general plan. If you don't agree with it, then you vote for the Measure M projects. So it's pretty easy. Either you do or you don't. But there's about 60,000 other people that aren't in this room that will be voting on this project, so you should be aware of that. And I would suggest to this council that we put it on the ballot and let everybody that lives in this city to participate in changing of zoning and amendments in the city that they live in. And that's what Measure M is all about. So with that, we have a motion from Councilman Elrod, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Duncan. If you'll please vote. And it passes 4 with one Councilman Howie recusing himself. So the motion passes. It will go to a vote on Measure M. You want to get somebody who wants to get Councilman Howie?
Well,
Huh?
leave him out
Leave him
there.
out there.
Mayor, I'll read the ordinance.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
This is ordinance number 2014-04, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, amending the East Chino specific plan to change the land use designations from business park and residential 2 units per acre to residential 4.5 units per acre, residential 8 units per acre, and residential 14 units per acre for 38.5 acres of land generally located north of Eucalyptus Avenue between San Antonio Avenue and Euclid Avenue to allow detached condominiums in the RD14 land use designation, to modify the street sections for portions of Euclid Avenue, Eucalyptus Avenue, Fern Avenue, and San Antonio Avenue, and to make associated minor cleanup provisions due to the land use change.
Thank you, Mr. And under the mayor's report, don't forget to purchase your tickets to the Civil War reenactment that Colonel Gary was here talking about earlier this evening at Prado Park. It's this coming weekend, and so you might fall out, and it's really something to see. They got the old camp set up, and it's really a lot of fun, for especially the young folks. Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Yeah, I chaired a meeting of the Vector Control Board of Directors last week, and once again, we're gearing up for West Nile virus. So if you have standing water on your property, if you have pools in your neighborhood that aren't being treated, we need to know about that. We'll send technicians out there and get them treated. That will protect your health and the health of your neighbors, so we appreciate your help.
Thank
my
you.
report.
Councilman Elrod.
Yes, Mayor, I was laid up for a couple of weeks with a surgery I had, but I did attend a meeting with the Inland Empire Utility Agency concerning the digester and some of the things they're doing down there. So that's about it. That's all I did the last 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ulloa.
I forgot to recognize the Planning Commission, and I appreciated their vote no. I understand it was more of a protest vote for going against the general plan. So Even though I voted yes to put it on the ballot tonight, which I think is the fair thing to do, I do want to acknowledge that I appreciate the Planning Commission's action. And then also the Civil War reenaction, please go. It's just a ball. You'll just have an absolute ball, and it's really good for the kids to watch. It's fun, especially, now, are you going to do it this year?
Am I going to reenact?
Yeah.
Probably.
Councilman Howie gets dressed up.
Artillery Union.
Yeah, Artillery Union, and he gets out there, and of course, you have to appreciate this. This year's probably going to be really nice weather, but some years it's been like almost 100, and these uniforms are wool. These guys are miserable, and then of course they have to pretend like they've been shot and flopped down in the dirt, and it's hot and it's dusty. I really enjoy watching it. I just think it's a ball.
Yeah, you ain't falling in the dirt.
Heck no, I'm watching.
Are they gonna let Brent go this year? They gave him a gun last year.
Yeah, it was pretty scary, that's for sure.
They gave you a cannon? Oh, no.
How did that work?
He fires it.
Have you been invited back?
But it's fun. They actually, they have the battle, and they reenact the battle, and they have horses out there, and it's really cool. Again, I want to ask the council to support a workshop for our general plan. I'll work with the city manager on that. But I really would encourage us to do that. It is our responsibility. Yes, the voters do get to vote on Measure M things, but the primary responsibility is ours, not kind of a cop-out, throw it out to the public. And then also, I just want to go on record to say that there are other communities, Rancho Cucamonga's being one, that build low-density homes. And so I just don't understand why developers feel like they can build them in other communities, but not here. We're just as good, if not better, than other communities, and we deserve those kinds of executive homes with room to bring our toys home and play with our kids in the backyard. So, there, I'm done. Oh, shush.
You're finished?
Councilman Howie.
Eunice, you got to get a little more opinionated, you know,
Yeah.
I think really.
Yeah, how do you really feel?
Oh, we'll talk.
Anyway, about the Civil War reenactment, the first year I was out there, I thought I was by the cannon, and then the Rebs attacked us, and I pretended I was shot, and I fell down and played like I was dead, and then I got up and I was all covered in stickers and all in dirt, and I said, okay, next time that happens, I'm just going to run, and that's why I'm really good at running now. When they come, okay, I'm going. So anyway. Yeah, come out this weekend to Prado Park for the reenactment, because it's actually the 150th anniversary of the Petersburg battles of 1864. And so, it's not every time you get a big anniversary like this, and they will be reenacting those Petersburg battles. Let's see, what else? I attended the Seroptimus fundraiser on the 30th. The Brew and Chew, they had about, it must have been 800 people out there having a great time out at the fairgrounds. And it's amazing. It was kind of nice because it wasn't the normal, if you're in a service club in Chino, whether it's Kiwanis or Seroptimus or Rotary, or do things with the YMCA, you usually see all the same people over and over and over every year at the different fundraisers. And these people are very committed, and they do a great job for our community. I'm going to tell you, I probably knew 20 people out of the 800 at the Brew and Chew. There was a lot of young people out there, and it was just nice to see so many people come to our city and just had a great time. And it was a very well-behaved crowd. Even the police department said these people were just really, really great. And so it was an excellent fundraiser. And Kiwanis, congratulations to Kiwanis again. The car show was amazing. There were cars on both sides of Central, and it was the cars and the weather was perfect, and it was just. These people really put a lot into those cars. It's just unbelievable from that. And then on the 27th, I attended the county city conference up in Lake Arrowhead, and it was usual, the county talking about all the different departments and going over their budgets and talking about the 22 cities that make up San Bernardino County. And it goes all the way. Our county is so huge. And we are so far on the western side, closer to metropolitan Los Angeles than anybody except Chino Hills. We're the two farthest from the west. But a couple of things were a little discerning for me was the education numbers from the county, talking about that only 40% of our third graders are reading at grade level. And that kind of shocked me. They should be reading at a third grade level. Only 40% of our of our county third graders read at that. So that tells me that our parents have got to do a better job, and also the schools have got to do a better job of getting these kids up to reading. And the dropout rate of high school through the county is at 24%. So when you figure only 1 out of 4 kids aren't graduating from high school, it's not doing a lot for our county. So those are the kind of things that we have to do a much better job as council members, us in the city, whatever we can do. Obviously, the school districts are challenged with budget and all the things that they have to go through, but there's a lot of room for improvement in those areas. Other than that, I think that's it.
Thank you. City manager, anything to report?
I have no report, Mayor.
Thank you. City attorney?
No report.
Who's here for the chief? Captain Jones?
No report, sir.
Thank you. Ed Gray, is Ed here from the fire district? Oh, he left? Okay, thank you, Chief Captain Shackelford. All righty. Well, we will stand adjourned for the next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council on April 15th, 7 p.m., closed session at 6 if necessary. We stand at recess. Have a great evening.